All right, let's get started. At least 5 people have been killed in California's Eaton fire. Fires are ravaging through many different parts of Los Angeles right now. Let's take a look.
The same stories. We welcome you to CBS Mornings. Of course, we're all thinking about the people of Los Angeles today. I know you are too, facing the most destructive wildfires in the city's history, and the pictures are staggering. This is a look at a new fire that broke out last night. It's a Sunset Fire right here in the heart of Hollywood. It is one of 5 fires now burning in a city that is really simply overwhelmed by the scale of this tragedy, and another difficult day ahead. It's those winds. So far, nearly 30,000 acres have burned with very little containment. At least 5 people, we're sorry to say, have been killed. Over 130,000 people are under evacuation orders today. Tony is still in Pacific Palisades. We're happy to say leading our team coverage across LA County. Tony, good morning to you.
Hey, good morning, Gail. The wind must have shifted just a few moments ago. It's starting to get smoky here again. It's hard to breathe. But let's talk about this grocery store behind me. This was part of a town center that really pulled the Palisades together. The items now charred right there on the shelves where they stood. And charred is a description for just about everything around me. Within a short walk from where I'm standing, there are dozens of homes destroyed, churches and schools gone, even a beloved local library with all of its books still inside, still on the shelves. And that is what 2 days of burning will do. Now there's an all-night, all-out effort from firefighters to hold this fire as best they can. We see them working even as we speak. More than 7,500 crews are on the ground overall, battling what is now 5 big fires, all but encircling the city of Los Angeles and fueled, of course, by those dry.
It's kind of wild that over the course of this fire, we all found out that like a ginormous percentage of mainstream media anchors and like television on-camera personalities are from the Pacific Palisades. At least like for me, it was shocking. So many people are from that area or have been to the Pacific Palisades. Like I've lived in LA for 12 years. I've been in the Pacific Palisades like 3 total times. You know what I mean? It's a beautiful place. It's a beautiful part of Los Angeles. Once I got a ticket on the canyon there, because I was walking my dog without a leash because I was carrying him because he was too tired to walk at the time. Fish. It was really annoying. I've pretty much never been back since then. But it's crazy how many of these guys have like are you know, either have been there or are from there directly. Actually.
Dry conditions and very high winds. Here in the Palisades, it's the most destructive fire in Los Angeles County history, they're saying. More than 17,000 acres reduced to embers and ash, and more than 1,000 homes and businesses and other buildings included, according to LA County Fire. And take a look at this. All along the famous Pacific Coast Highway, some of the most beautiful beachfront properties in the whole wide world, now gone. We've got correspondents on every part of this story this morning, and we're going to begin about 25 miles east of here, the Eaton fire in and around Pasadena. The death toll is at least 5 there, according to officials. And take a look at these images coming in. These are houses just outside of Pasadena on East Altadena Drive. Here's what they look like now as this fire continues to chew through the city of Los Angeles. And you can multiply that damage, that destruction, by the hundreds, if not the thousands, citywide. Just down the street from that devastation is where we find our Chris Van Cleve covering this again this morning. Chris, good morning.
Good morning, Tony. We drove down that road yesterday, and virtually every house that wasn't on fire had already burned to the ground. More than 10,000 acres have burned, 0% containment. 750 firefighters from across California and Arizona are working on this fire. There are water-dropping helicopters in the air at this hour. They say an early estimate, 1,000 structures destroyed or damaged. You can only assume that that number is going to grow. Firefighters say if it weren't for the rapid action of police and fire as this fire was exploding, that death toll would be much higher. The around-the-clock battle against the Eaton fire, inflamed by harsh winds, continued overnight as firefighters raced to save what they could.
This one's a loss, which is sad, but hopefully we can save the other ones.
Try to keep it so those embers don't kick up.
And move from house to house, and you can see there's houses behind here, so hopefully we can save this whole group of houses.
But for many, Help came too late. Do you feel lucky that you got out when you did?
Yes.
91-year-old Dale Short and his girlfriend evacuated their Pasadena home Tuesday, just hours before we found it engulfed in flames. When Short returned Wednesday, only the smoldering ruins of the place he called home for 6 decades remained. When you came back up here, what went through your mind?
I have to be honest with you, it really hasn't hit me all yet. I mean, I've got 60 years of memories in that house and 3 children.
Yeah.
Now it's hitting me.
A few miles away in Altadena, we found what could only be described as a hellscape.
This is Altadena, and it's hard to imagine much of anything will be left in this neighborhood. You fire there, you fire there, fire burning over there, more fire over there. That home completely engulfed. There is fire everywhere.
Sam John watched as his neighborhood went up in flames.
This is why they call it an act of God. There's nothing you can do. There's absolutely nothing you can do.
He says he knows his home could be next.
How much hope do you have that this all misses your home?
Little to none. If it does, great. If it doesn't, we got out alive. Our neighbors got out alive.
So many people are still holding their breaths until the winds die down, and that's out of the forecast. One of our big questions this morning, it appears that gas lines are still active in this area. Home after home after home, we see these little, what appear to be gas fires burning. We're going to try to find out why that's happening. Tony?
Yeah, we've noticed that too, Chris. Thank you very much.
This morning, a massive and deadly wildfire emergency.
It's gone. That's all we got.
For a second straight night, wind-driven fires engulfing homes. And overnight, a new blaze popping up in the Hollywood Hills and Studio City.
This home now collapsing.
Cars gridlocked with the famous Hollywood Boulevard evacuated. Along the coast, the Palisades fire exploding to more than 15,000 acres. California's iconic Pacific Coast Highway now a trail of burnt wreckage.
It's devastating. It is apocalyptic. You feel like you're on a movie set. This does not feel real.
It doesn't even look like a house anymore.
At the Eaton fire burning in Altadena, at least 5 people have died. As the fires began, smoke transforming a sunny day into eerie darkness. Last night, the destruction was plain everywhere. Days after this fire began,
Dude, that's crazy. Like, you're watching people cry because their fucking homes are burned. And there's people being like, garbage city anyway. Like, I mean, it's extra funny because, like, I live here, right? But also, like, this is completely unacceptable when people do this for Florida. It's completely unacceptable when people do it for Louisiana, for Texas. Like, it's so stupid. They're like, oh, yeah, hell yeah, dude. You know, California, they suck. They deserve it. Like, it's just so strange. You know? Only acceptable for the UK? No, it's not acceptable for the UK either. What are you talking about? Saw pretty serious lack of empathy because some of the properties were Airbnbs. Like, I agree, housing is a right, but the way they say housing system is set up is not an investment. No, I don't give a shit about the Airbnbs, man. Not all of those houses are Airbnbs. Like, what are you, crazy? Pacific Palisades especially is like an area where people just live. You know what I mean? They're not... Those are not Airbnbs. Like, people's homes burn down, you know?
flames continue to spread.
And it's not even just Pacific Palisades. It's like Altadena. Who's getting an Airbnb in Altadena, dude? What are they doing? Are they going to the Bunny Museum? Is that why? Like, what are you talking about?
Is all that's left of this school. The community mourning what's been lost, including famous residents like Billy Crystal, who wrote of his lost home Every inch of our house was filled with love. Paris Hilton watching hers burn on TV. And Mandy Moore.
Like this is what the media does, because this is the most like interesting part of it for the average person. So then it leaves the audiences with the idea that like every single person is Paris Hilton, and it's like their Malibu, it's their 11th Malibu property that burned down. You know what I mean? Like that's not what happened. Okay.
More writing, I'm in shock.
I have never flown in conditions quite like this.
A time lapse showing the Palisades fire's rapid and terrifying growth. Overwhelmed fire crews working around the clock.
Here we go.
NBC Los Angeles learning that the LA fire chief warned in a memo last month that budget cuts would affect its response to emergencies. Mayor Karen Bass pressed after arriving back in the city from a trip to Ghana.
Do you regret cutting the fire department budget by millions of dollars, Madam Mayor? Have you nothing to say today?
Bass later saying budget cuts didn't affect the response. During the peak of the firestorm, city officials say hydrants.
Regardless, it's an affluent neighborhood. Yeah, I don't care that it's an affluent neighborhood. Malibu especially is like incredibly wealthy. Pacific Palisades is like doctors, high earning professionals, and normal people live there too in terms of wealth. But I still don't care. It's like this is still so much devastation. And the parts that we're not talking about is like Altadena, or even the area where that almost caught on fire near Runyon Canyon. Like the Sunset Fire, if last night's Sunset Fire actually reached the residential areas, that would have devastated the lives of so many people. Okay? I can't empathize. I look at someone like actor James Woods, for instance, and I can't. Yeah, I'm not talking about James Woods. Fuck James Woods, bro. What are you talking about? He should have stayed in his goddamn house. Okay, that's not who I'm talking about. You guys are just like, there's a difference between like, you know, saying fuck James Woods, which I agree, versus like, you know, the Runyon Canyon fire potentially lighting Hollywood on fire. You know what I mean? Or Altadena. Like it's not just like rich out of touch celebrities there. Okay, there's like normal human beings. There's like 75% of the Pacific Palisades is gone. Yeah, Matt Leib's sister's house burned down. My twin sister's house / entire neighborhood in Altadena burned down today, as well as a bunch of my friends. Luckily, everyone is safe with their families. You think Matt Leib's sister is a mega celebrity? The answer is no, chat. You have no, like, yeah. Altadena has a significant black middle-class population with deep historical roots. Altadena Meadows was exempt from redlining policies that prevented African Americans from purchasing property in much of California. I know people who have been directly impacted. They lost everything. Yeah. Like the greatest example I could give you is my own personal experience. Like I lived in Brentwood. Okay. I lived in Brentwood. Brentwood is an insanely wealthy area. Okay. Insanely wealthy. Guess what? I lived with a roommate in an apartment that was built in like 1934. Okay. With the popcorn ceiling. And I was paying like $1,000 a month in rent. I wasn't caked up at all. I was making 35 grand a year. Okay. And I had to evacuate. So if you look at that situation from the outside and you think like, oh, these are just like rich people that live there, you don't understand. There's like mixed income housing in a lot of these places. You didn't own that? Yeah. What are you talking about? Yes, people rent, dude. What? My point is, you don't. Ugh. Bro, did your hairdresser burn? What is this cut? Man, shut up. Like there are always random people. You know what I mean? This is like a big city. But yeah, we're gonna talk about the fire hydrants in a second.
Unable to keep up with the extreme demand.
What is going on with the water situation?
We have had some issues with water. If you stick enough straws into a glass of water, it's going to empty faster.
NBC's Morgan Chesky witnessing it firsthand on the Eaton fire.
Out of every fire hydrant you've seen, what have you found?
Right now, we're finding most of them are down or low pressure.
Dramatic before and after satellite images show the scope of the destruction, while a firestorm of unprecedented ferocity continues to rage.
Now, firefighters are doing the best they can, but there are still areas here that are smoldering. The situation yesterday and on Tuesday, we had 80 to 100 mile per hour gusts. Those are hurricane force winds. It would take smoldering embers like this and launch them, say, 3 to 5 miles away, introducing fire to neighborhoods that had no business being part of this blaze. So that's kind of the setup that we had. And right now, the winds have eased a bit. But later on this evening, typical Santa Ana winds, 60 to 70 mile per hour gusts are still in the forecast.
How is it any different than Israel saying Gaza is full of terrorists? It's worse. Like, Israel is not a natural disaster. Israel's directly killing everyone in Gaza. Like, it's ironic, though, because people do say that.
And it just makes it nearly impossible for these firefighters to control
Maybe
it.
even some people who say that live in Los Angeles and have their house burned down recently.
All right, Dylan Dreyer. Dylan, thank you so much.
Hey, thanks for...
Do you think the current reaction from the fire department would have been the same, even without the budget cut? Not asking this to fight, just curious in your opinion. No, that budget cut is so marginal. What was necessary for the fire department was budget increases, most likely. The budget cut in and of itself, for me, is more so about the spending priorities, showcasing the spending priorities of the locality. Okay. That's what it shows me. If you're cutting $17 million from the fire department budget while adding $138 million to the police department budget, that means there's money out there, and you're putting that money. You're taking money away from the fire department and then putting that money into the police department. That to me is completely unacceptable, especially because there are plenty of people that recognize the unique place that Los Angeles, the unique way Los Angeles exists currently. Okay? It's dry as hell. This has been a particularly dry year. It's obvious that, you know, a high wind situation like the one that took place was going to be disastrous, and it happened, and it's devastating. And the fact that the Los Angeles city government didn't consider this to be a serious enough issue is crazy. Like, people can just to me, I feel like people say DEI or whatever dumb shit that they're saying because they're stupid and dumb. Okay. How is it like outside your crib? I'm fine, dude. I'm in a safe area. Yeah, chat's hyper focused. They read Marx. Anyway.
Good morning to you,
You'll
Tony.
see what some of these conditions look like, the wind conditions.
We can't get much closer. This is one of 3 houses that burned. Right now, the outside looks okay, but as you can see, there's crews inside that 3rd smoldering floor of the house. It's very hard to get crews up here because these are gnarly, narrow roads, but fortunately, they were able to get a hook and ladder up here and stop this. We are in the middle of very dry and dense vegetation. Things could have gotten a lot worse.
The legendary Hollywood Hills became the latest flashpoint in wildfires consuming large parts of Los Angeles overnight.
You guys gotta get out. You guys gotta get out.
Flames broke out around 5 p.m. yesterday in Runyon Canyon Park, a popular spot for hikers and dog walkers.
Our house, you can tell it's next, and we're getting out.
On the streets below the hills, evacuation orders stretched south to the famous Hollywood Boulevard and its Walk of Fame, where spectators gathered to watch the blaze and traffic bottlenecked with residents trying to escape. And on the other side of the hills, Studio City at one point looked to be the next part of a town under serious threat, with flames engulfing homes and acres of brush. An all-out assault by crews dropping water from helicopters eventually gave them the upper hand, but some abandoned homes could not be saved.
It's real people out here going through some real
right,
real stuff,
right,
real things. Right. Losing their clothes, their life, their family, their pictures, their everything that they have had.
And the reason why the fire was able to be contained is because the winds have died down, and these crews are not the only ones that work. Those water drops have really saved a lot of properties around here. Tony.
Lilia, thank you very much. We'll go now to Jonathan Pigliotti here in the Pacific Palisades with me. He's been covering the fires here since the first flames 2 days ago, now covering it into a third day. Jonathan, good morning.
Yeah, good morning to you, Tony. It's been nearly 2 days since this fire started. What's incredible and what I've never seen before covering a fire, there are still homes catching blaze right now. The fire crew here you see arriving just a short while ago, but we have witnessed over the nearly past 48 hours, home after home catch fire without a single crew in sight.
The Palisades fire has devoured everything in its path, including some of the most exclusive neighborhoods in the country, leaving behind only remnants of what was in the Pacific Palisades, like this spiral staircase. The fire quickly spread to the celebrity haven of Malibu, reducing the once iconic Pacific Coast Highway with its beachfront restaurants to piles of debris and smoky ash.
Just an insane scenario right now. Like, I can't believe that this all across LA, like, this is just happening and it's completely out of control.
Oh my God. This is now considered the most destructive fire in LA County history.
We just arrived here in what is left of downtown Pacific Palisades, and I am overwhelmed by the scale of loss. Many people are going to return to homes that were lost, and even more important, their community completely gone.
Flames also reached a more than 100-year-old church.
Downtown's landmarks like this are quickly being erased off the map. Reinforcements are being brought in, but for a community like this, so much has already been lost.
And more has been lost, with a noticeable shortage in fire crews.
It's been more than 24 hours since this fire first ignited. Homes are still going up in flames on both sides of the street. Over here, this condo igniting, and there is not a single firefighter here on the street.
We've just been evacuated from this Good Samaritan's car. You got it, Dad.
Amid the tragedies, stories of neighbors helping neighbors.
I don't know, man. What's that dude's net worth, you think? He deserves to die. I'm a leftist. I'm a leftist. I'm a leftist. I don't know. Is he, I'm a right winger. Is he woke and gay? He deserves to die. I'm a leftist. Is he rich? He deserves it. He deserves it. Throw him in the fire. Yeah, class conscious flames erupt, doing class warfare for you.
This is crazy. There's a fire right outside our car.
Aaron Sampson was taking care of his 83-year-old father-in-law when they knew they had to escape.
We got this. We got this. Come on. Turn around.
And let's be clear here, these firefighters are heroes, but they clearly need more support. The LA Fire Chief requesting an additional 1,000 fire crews from Northern California. But the question this morning, why so late in the game? And will they arrive in time to help save homes that are still threatened, like the ones behind me, Tony?
Jonathan Pigliotti with the flames still burning behind him. Jonathan, thank you very much.
People were forced to leave their homes with little more than the clothes on their backs. Let's go to our Kana Whitworth with some of their stories. Morning, Kana.
Yeah, Robin, good morning. Look, I heard this fire described here in the Palisades as a monster, and now that we're really seeing the aftermath of it, I can tell you that's a good way to describe it. In fact, I've had multiple people say things to me like every single person I know in Pacific Palisades has lost their home. And it's also striking when you turn this corner to see the vast nothingness now that was once the most sought after neighborhood in this country. And authorities told me this morning there's a new problem. The homes that are left standing, they're getting reports now of looting.
We gotta get out of here.
This morning, apocalyptic scenes across Los Angeles as harrowing stories of survival emerge from families fleeing the infernos through tunnels of fire.
All of PCH is on fire right now. It is like driving through hell itself down here. These homes are on fire and you can feel the heat from the flames, even from inside your car.
Desperate to escape,
We've just been evacuated.
Aaron Sampson and his elderly father-in-law fleeing the Pacific Palisades fire, stranded without a car, a good Samaritan driving them 35 minutes before everyone abandoned their cars and continued on foot.
This is crazy. There's a fire right outside our car. We got this. We got this. Come on. Turn around. You got it. Keep walking down the hill. We got it, Dad. We got it.
And these cars turning the road into a parking lot, and the ones left, charred husks. Our David Muir on the scene.
The traffic was so bad they figured their chances were better getting out on foot and running the rest of the way out of here.
I mean, it's an apocalyptic scene here.
It is. It is. You see where the bulldozer had to come through and push the cars aside so we can get up here.
My parents' house burnt down, my grandparents' house burnt down, and my aunt and uncle's house burnt down.
3 generations of the Doran family now piled.
Do you see how quickly are with the news? Because celebrities' homes are burning, whereas for Palestine, it took Western media decades to show the news what's happening to innocent Palestinians. They went to Asheville, North Carolina, as well. Okay? It's American news in the United States of America in a major American city. Of course, they're going to have a lot of immediate on-the-ground coverage as opposed to the ongoing act of genocide that they participate in hiding from the American public. I don't know what point you're making here. Like, yes, news media is better at covering domestic issues than they are at foreign policy across the board. No journalist is allowed to enter Gaza or they'll just kill them. Oh, I'm in so much pain. I swear to God.
Piled into Caitlin's Marina Del Rey apartment. As the smoke cleared, the Palisades village looking more like a war zone than a popular shopping area. Skeletal remains of the businesses unrecognizable. Some homes were spared, but the embers that were blown by the powerful Santa Ana winds would burn homes just next door. The Palisades fire scorching everything in its path, disintegrating homes and vehicles, residents like Curtis losing everything.
It's just pretty devastating. This is pretty devastating. I don't think LA's seen anything like this before.
65-year-old Randy Stokel says his neighborhood has been turned upside down.
I stopped a couple fires. I stopped one that went, and then it reignited about 4:30 this morning, and thank God I woke up at the perfect time, and I got it, and I stopped it from burning my house, and it's a tough day today.
And the fire swept through the Altadena neighborhood of Lisa Marie Burnside and Stuart Brawley, leaving it unrecognizable.
It's really hard to process what a town that's been decimated by fire looks like.
Shelters packed with evacuees.
You don't know what to grab.
My dentist gave me oxycodone, acetaminophen, generic for Percocet, and I don't want to take it because I don't want to be a perked up shouty. That's what it is. So I'm just going to take an Advil. It's annoying.
No time, and we didn't have room in the car anyway.
So many residents don't know if their home is still standing, but the Rifkin family knows that they lost everything. Their smart home app sending alerts as it burnt to the ground.
I was just sat there in silence, and there's only so much you can do. And being so helpless at this time
It's a play-by-play of your.
It was frustrating. You just saw
burning down.
Each room go.
You wake up one morning and everything is normal, and you go to bed that night and you have nothing.
The scope of the devastation becoming more clear for many families. Entire neighborhoods reduced to ash, chimneys, all that remain for some.
All the stuff that's here is replaceable. People are not, so.
Very lucky.
So having the family is the most important thing.
Those priorities, right? And you have to think about the sheer panic someone would have to be in to abandon their car and run. ABC News is now learning that local city council members here in Pacific Palisades warned officials in LA about congestion during wildfire evacuation. And now, sadly, George, we have seen their worst nightmare play out.
Yeah, we certainly have. Okay, Kana, thanks.
We're back. CBS Mornings live here in Los Angeles with the latest on the devastating wildfires here. The area where I'm standing effectively wiped out by the truly massive Pacific Palisades fire, which started on Tuesday morning. It is the most destructive fire in the history of the city of Los Angeles. And it's only part of the story here. This morning, there are no fewer than 5 very fast-moving wildfires in and around the city that firefighters are still struggling to contain at this hour. So far, at least 5 people have been killed and many others have been hurt in this blaze. Fire officials say around 2,000 structures have been destroyed, more than 130,000 people forced to flee their homes. And on that subject, many of those thousands of evacuees are in one kind of
The hell was that?
agony or another. They don't know if their homes survived in one case, or others have found a way back to those homes, fighting through the smoke, often on foot or on bikes, only to find nothing left when they get there. And even when their houses are still standing, the lucky ones, they soon realize the town itself that supported all those homes is in ruins.
I can't. Oh my God. Oh my God. Everything is gone.
In the neighborhood where Galina Skaya had built her dream home and started a family, you can hear the anguish as she returned to find almost every house destroyed, including her own.
I'm still processing the gravity of the entire situation, just walking down the streets and seeing cars inflamed, full houses leveled.
Her 9-year-old daughter, Minnie, left home for school Tuesday morning and now won't ever get the chance to go back.
What do you think you're going to miss about that house?
I'm going to miss my room, my stuffies. I'm going to miss my neighborhood, walking, going to the bluffs.
Not far away, on a high point overlooking the flames, we found Kevin Pazarande.
I was born here. This is a once-in-a-lifetime, not just fire, but weather event.
His home, as he was able to spot it from the hillside,
Guys, I promise you, you are the most woke when you say, look how they cover, keep it up. Keep up the comparisons between what we're seeing right now in Gaza. Okay, especially in a community like this one. I promise everybody sees it and goes, damn, that dude is actually so fucking woke. Like, these people just lost their houses, okay? It's nothing in comparison to the lives that people in Gaza, the lives lost in Gaza, okay? Like, they are entirely separate things. Also, Israel is not a natural disaster. Israel is a state. Israel is a foreign ally, an extension of American empire. Israel blows up Gaza with our tax dollars, with the tax dollars of some of those people that are in these fires, okay? There are comparisons you can make between this and Gaza. But I don't know why you just sit there and constantly just go, dude, it just looks like Gaza, and they have no sympathy for Gaza. They have no sympathy for Gaza. It's like, yeah, I know, man. They don't. Okay, please. It's so boring and annoying to just like repeat it over and over again. I know they don't. Okay. You don't know them though? No, we're not talking about the victims. We're talking about the journalists, or at least I am. So if you family was in Israel, you would still support Gaza? I don't know. I live in the United States of America, and I still think that we should stop doing war crimes. So what do you think? So yeah, if my family lived in Israel, I would make sure that they don't live in Israel.
Is still there, at least for the moment. But other evacuees came to this very same hill feeling less optimistic. Matt Baker pulled up in the very same car he evacuated in, 90% sure his house is gone.
I was going to remodel the house in Malibu, started, and I had all my belongings and property there.
After generations here, he's not sure what's next.
Well, you got stuff.
It's just like showing guys like this is probably the reason why half of chat's like, yeah, let it burn. You know what I mean? It's like, it is, I get it. It is hard to sympathize with a guy who lost his house when he's like, well, I'm going to be remodeling my Malibu home. And now I can't.
Up in the car here. What's your plan now? I don't know.
As we spoke to Matt, Austin Malosh saw our cameras and came by desperate for news about his house in an area known as the Alphabet Streets. It doesn't look good, I told him, sharing a note I'd received from another resident.
I seen a lot of red smoke before I left, so I figured it's...
Brian Thompson had a wife and kid equivalent? No, dude, what? You don't know what that guy does? What's wrong with you? Even then, it's not the same. His vibes are just bad. He's rich and his vibes are fucked. Do you know, is he the CEO of United Healthcare? Like, why are you comparing him to that guy? Why are you assuming that he is the CEO of a for-profit healthcare company? What the hell? Some of y'all are so dumb. I think for some people, they just hate, they loved Luigi because, like, I guess Luigi just shot and killed a rich guy. Like, they just don't have any assessment whatsoever of, like, the many horrible things that Brian Thompson contributed to. Like, that's it. A lot of people are just like, nah, just kill the rich, dude. It's awesome. Some of you are dumb babies. That's not how this works. And that's not the point. I understand the animosity that you might have towards those who are more fortunate than you. I get it. Trust me. Okay? I get it. Your life is shit. And you got all these rich assholes running around. Myself included. Like, look at me. I'm the fucking rich baby. Okay? Yeah. Out of touch. And you're like, fuck that guy. The point isn't to... It's not about... Your leftism should not be off of envy or anger or resentment towards just the successful people, financially successful people, wealthy people in general. It should be about how that wealth is accumulated. It should be about fixing the systems. Although a little bit of resentment towards the wealthy goes a long way. I think it's healthy to have in general. But just stop being reactionary. Please.
A lot of stuff was going to go down, but It's just more like I want to know, you know?
It looks like a war zone. It looks like something out of a movie. Like, you can't believe it's happening to you.
For him and his friends, it feels now like their whole childhoods are gone.
We were just going on Instagram and Twitter, and we just...
Biden speaking about the wildfires on CNN.
To right now. And this morning, due to the magnitude of the disaster, I was talking with the governor. He requested if I could increase the federal funding that was authorized under this legislation from 75% to 90%. We're increasing it to 100% of all the costs to be covered by the federal government for both the fire management assistance grants and the elements of what they call the disaster declaration. So today I'm announcing that the federal government will cover 100% of the cost for 180 days. This is going to pay for things like debris and hazard material removal, temporary shelters, first responders' salaries, and all necessary measures to protect life and property. And folks, I want to underscore, I told the governor and local officials, spare no expense to do what they need to do and contain these fires and in their communities that have really been devastated. And we're doing literally everything we can at a federal level. That's also why I call this group of folks around this table of all relevant federal departments and agencies together to discuss what more we can do. And some of the folks around the screen as well. Before we begin things, here's an update on where things stand right now. First, we're focused on helping contain these fires. Over the last 24 hours, the United States Forest Service, working with state and local responders, has suppressed over 50 fire starts. And the fire in the Hollywood Hills has been contained by brave firefighters risking their lives. Right now, 3 major fires are still burning in the Pacific Palisades, in Pasadena, and in Sylmar. I want to be clear. What I know from talking to the governor, that there are concerns out there that there's also been a water shortage. The fact is, the utilities understandably shut off power because they're worried the lines that they carry the energy were going to be blown down and spark additional fires. But the Cal Fire, when it did that, it cut off the ability to generate pumping the water. That's what caused the lack of water in these hydrants. And so Cal Fire is bringing in generators to get these pumps up and working again so that there's no longer a shortage of water coming out of these hydrants. I'm also surging all federal resources possible to Southern California, including 400 additional federal firefighters, over 30 firefighting helicopters and planes, federally supplied, firefighting planes and helicopters, and 8 Department of Defense C-130s that are equipped to suppress wildfires. Today, the Secretary of Defense also authorized 500 wildfire ground clearing personnel from the Defense Department. And I've directed the department to continue working with Governor Newsom to identify additional resources that can be provided for public safety and security. And we've secured additional firefighters and firefighting aircraft from our ally in Canada as well. I also want everyone in Southern California to know we're going to keep at it. We're sticking with this. We expect there may be a temporary break in the winds, but in some areas the winds are likely to continue well into next week. And so we're going to continue to sending everything, literally, every resource we can find that's appropriate to help the governor and the first responders. Second, we're focused on helping people who have been displaced or in many cases lost everything. You've reported on, you've seen the homes just burned to the ground, whole areas burned to the ground, large areas. They've been displaced and they've lost everything. As I said, since the fire started, FEMA has been working with the state to help residents get shelter, groceries, prescriptions, and other critical goods like baby formula. We're also sent FEMA Director Criswell to Los Angeles to manage our response on the ground. She was supposed to be on this call, but we have the deputy here because she is out in the field with the governor right now, surveying what's going on. Let me close with a message to the people of Southern California. We are with you. we're not going anywhere. To the firefighters and first responders, you are heroes. Many of these firefighters are out there risking their lives, and some, well, I won't go beyond that, but risking their lives, and while their own homes are in danger, their families are in danger. To the firefighters and first responders, you really are, it's not hyperbole, you're heroes. You're genuinely heroes. And the worst, you know, this is the most widespread, devastating fire in California's history. It's amazing. And there's nobody who understands it better than the press have been covering this on a minute-to-minute basis. And you literally have to run into the flames, these firefighters. You know, that old expression, God made man, then he made a few firefighters. Who runs into flames? You know, in doing so, you're leaving your own families and who may be in harm's way as well. So we owe you. And we're going to make sure that you get every resource you need, every possible resource you need. You know, to the families who have been impacted by this disaster, you're living through a nightmare, I know. And I promise you, we're going to help you get through this and eventually recover and rebuild. I'm going to turn it over now to the Vice President before we go on to the folks in the various cabinet positions as well as agencies that control these issues. Madam Vice President, I know you're directly affected, so you fire away. No pun intended.
All right, as the President throws it to the Vice President, we want to show you another drone video on the right of your screen. A new drone video coming in earlier today over the Pacific Palisades area in Los Angeles County. House after house after house gone. It's just heartbreaking. We're going to have more from the region next. Stay with us.
She done. They cut Kamala for the drone footage, bro.